Good afternoon. It is 12:31 here on KMIR. We are breaking in with some breaking news coverage of a story that's been developing all morning here, and we are waiting now for a live news conference. This is a school shooting in the San Bernardino area. This happened about 10:30 this morning at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino. What we know at this moment is that there are two people dead, possibly a teacher and an acquaintance. They are calling this a possible murder-suicide in the school, in this elementary school. Also, we are told that two children are injured and taken to the hospital. We have no condition yet on this, on the two children that were possibly injured in this. Again, it took place at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino about 10:30 this morning. Now, these live pictures here, you're seeing some of the children. They are being taken. The school is evacuated. It was on lockdown. We are told the threat right now is over. However, the students have been taken to Cajon High School, where they're being sheltered there in place, and all of the parents are being told to take their children there, or to go there. Now, we are waiting for this live news conference. We have just switched to it now. Let's take let's take a listen to this live news conference from San Bernardino.
To Superintendent of San Bernardino City Unified School District, Dr. Dale Marsden.
I would like our community and our nation to keep our families in prayer. This is an absolutely tragic event. Our hearts are broken, as is everyone else. I want to thank our school police department, our city police department. In less than 7 minutes, they were on scene. And we students, were moved immediately and shuttled to safety. Parents are asked to report to Cajon High School. And please be prepared to present proper identification. And parents, please be patient with the process. Your child's safety is of utmost concern. Your child will be released as soon as practicably possible. Please keep in mind some students may need to be interviewed by authorities, and this causes some of the delay. May take that time. I also want to mention to you that we will be closing North Park for at least the next 2 days, and I want you to be aware of that. Again, this is truly tragic. Please join us as we pray. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce our city's mayor, Mayor Carrie Davis.
Far too often in our country and throughout the world, we gather to report this news of tragic events that take place. I want the parents and teachers of North Park Elementary to know of my concern for their health and their welfare and their safety. As was reported, our police department, together with the school police department, responded immediately, was on site to bring to arrest the event, which resulted in the death of 2 victims at this time, the suspect and the victim that also succumbed to the injuries that that person sustained. I want to thank our school district for how well they try to maintain the safety of our community and our children. We are very fortunate to have Dr. Dale Marsden as our superintendent. I appreciate his quick response and his concern for taking leadership over the situation. Also, our police department and the school police department that has worked very closely together. We are united with our superintendent, with the school board. I also want to thank and recognize our Congressman Aguilar, who's joined us, our Assembly Member Eloise Reyes, who've expressed their concern and shown their support for this tragic event. Our hearts, as Dr. Marsden expressed, are broken each time any of us have to be engaged in this type of process. I also want to report that I received a telephone call from Deputy Assistant Kirkland from the White House, the President expressing his concern for our community and his concern for the students and teachers of North Park. He has offered his aid in any way possible to help in this situation. Again, I want to thank our president, our school board for all of their concern, and our superintendent, our police department, and the school police department. Thank you.
Captain Ron Moss, that's M-A-A-S-S, of the San Bernardino Police Department, was leading the investigation as the incident commander for this tragedy. And Chief Mark Hartwig, H-A-R-T-W-I-G, of the San Bernardino County Fire Department, was the incident commander on scene for the medical response. Both are here present with us to answer any questions you might have.
Gentlemen, was there any indication that there was some kind of domestic violence or something which may have given you a clue that potential violence was going to happen on the school? Had the person who died, one of the other, the woman who was there died, do we have any indication that there was something there that alerted you of any kind of domestic violence?
We do not have any information at this point as to whether there are any precursors to the incident that would have raised our suspicions as to any type of violence that might have occurred on the campus. We are still working to definitively identify both the male and the female adult victims. Coroner's office was just going in to make those IDs in the last few minutes. From there, we'll be able to determine whether there was a domestic violence situation. At this point, we don't know definitively one way or the other.
Do we have any indication that the two children
were they targeted?
The children, we do not believe were targeted. The entire incident was limited to a single classroom on the school campus. The suspect had come to the classroom to visit the adult female that was in the classroom. We believe the two children were the unfortunate recipients of injuries by being in proximity to the female at the time of the incident.
Do we know how many shots were fired?
We do not know for certain how many shots were fired.
Was the adult female the instructor in the classroom?
Yes.
Do you know what the relationship is between the two adults?
We are working to determine that for certain. We have an idea, but we don't know for certain at this point.
What grade of classroom was this?
Not certain at this point. It looks like it might have been a multi-grade classroom.
The children who were injured, were they gunshot victims or were they injured?
They were gunshot victims, yes.
When might we learn their condition or the update?
3:30 this afternoon, we'll have another press conference, and we should have more information at that point.
How did the suspect gain entry into the classroom? Did he have the gun? Was it visible? Was there any indication that this was?
There is no indication that the gun was visible upon his arrival at the school. It wasn't until he came into the classroom that he presented the firearm.
There's been a lot of confusion on the part of parents, understandably, with the situation. They're going to the high school, but they're eventually picking up their kids from the university. Can you explain why that procedure was put in place and if it's going to be a little easier toward the end of the day?
Yes, it will get easier towards the end of the day. The reason we did that is there are students and staff that may have been witnesses to this, and we need to interview them and get that information from them. And then we also want to work on reunifying the two, and it's much more difficult if they're both at the same facility at the same time.
You said the suspect was visiting the female instructor. Did he come through the office? Did he check in? Did he sign in with the front office before he went to visit the instructor?
Yes, he did.
Was he known to the front office?
I believe he was, yes.
Are there any hand weapon detectors by school officers, to your knowledge?
I would have to defer to school police. I'm not aware of any. I don't believe there's any metal detectors or anything like that to get on campus, no.
Are the children's parents with them, as far as you know?
We are doing everything we can to get the parents with the children.
Do they have been notified?
With the victims. We're working on notification still. I believe one set has been. I don't know about the other.
Did law enforcement make contact with the suspect before the suspect took his life?
No.
But this was a handgun, right?
Yes, it was.
And did the suspect leave a note or any?
Not that we've seen at this point yet.
And again, they're not disclosing the relationship between the shooter and the teacher, if they were related, perhaps an intimate relationship.
We're trying to make sure we know who the suspect truly is before we make something like that. I don't want to say something that might turn out to be not accurate later.
Approximately how many people were in the classroom and whether there were any other adults in
That I don't know. I don't believe there are any other adults in the classroom at the time.
And as you continue to investigate, are you sending officers to that suspect's home?
Yes, we already have officers there.
You feel confident there are no other victims?
If we have the right identity of the suspect, we are at that residence right now.
We don't know if the two children were in fact related.
They were not related to them. That we do know.
A question with one of the school district members. When will students be allowed back to school, either this week or maybe even next week?
Yeah, again, we're going to have the school closed for the next 2 days at least, and then we'll provide an update at that point. Again, we'll have another briefing with greater details at 3:30. Right now, parent release may take up to 3 hours, so we're just asking everyone's patience. This is just a tragic event for every single person involved, and we want to make sure that we still operate at the highest level of safety and concern for every single child being released properly to every single parent. That takes time. We ask everyone's patience.
Under what circumstance would somebody be allowed to just go visit a classroom? What's the policy on that, that someone can just go into a classroom and visit a teacher?
So we have entry procedures for all of our schools, like most schools do, and check in with the office. Identification is generally checked, and in terms of what actually occurred on this day today, we'll unwind that more as the day unfolds and have greater detail, perhaps.
How would that person be vetted or pass through the office, though?
Yeah, generally, again, with an identification having a purpose to be on the campus.
The children that were injured, how were they transported to the hospital?
Mark Harwood with the County Fire District. We had 2 children that were transported, one by air, one by ground ambulance.
And the shooter and the victim, were they related?
The adult victim, or?
Yeah.
We don't know. Like I said, we don't know definitively what their relationship was at this point. That's what we're still working on.
Was there any indication there could be a problem? Did the school know of maybe a restraining order or have any knowledge that this teacher may have felt?
Does not appear to be the case, no.
Could you give just a brief summary of kind of the timeline, minute by minute, of how you think the situation occurred, starting with when the gunman arrived at the school?
I don't have the precise time that the gunman arrived at the school. We received the call at 10:27, and the initial call that we received was first of shots fired, followed by a possible active shooter, which obviously got both our attention as well as school PD's attention, and all of our units responding code 3 at that point.
And do you know how long the gunman had been inside the building by the time the shots were fired?
That will come out later in the investigation.
Captain, can you clarify once again, where exactly should students be picked up?
Students picked up.
Yeah, so again, we're asking all parents to go to Cajon High School, and that is where they will be reunited with their students. If they go anywhere else, it'll be very difficult to release their child properly. So again, proper identification, their child's safety is our utmost concern, and so their patience with the process would be helpful.
Can you speak, any of you guys, to speak? It's just been a little over a year since we had another active shooting in this community. I'm sure when those calls came through, it really hit home to a lot of the law enforcement officers and people responding. Can you speak to that, or?
You're referring to the December 2nd incident that took place in the city of San Bernardino? I believe that when you saw the city of San Bernardino respond with our police department and all of the agencies that came together, you saw a response that was as effective as it could have been. You also saw a community that came together that was concerned with retaliation, wanting to make sure that our community knew how to respond and come together in a united fashion. And we did that. We did that because too often these incidences are utilized as opportunities for others to take advantage of. We felt it was important to not only unite our community, but to also show and recognize that a community that is short on resources is very resilient and can deal with tragedy, disaster, just as effectively as any community in the United States. And we did that, and we will continue to do that in this occasion. We will rise to help our parents, our teachers, to regroup and to once again gain confidence in our community. Does that respond to your question?
Superintendent, can we talk about the school district's cell phone policy? Because a lot of parents were saying that they couldn't reach their children because cell phones are not allowed. Can you talk about the school's policy?
Well, I would assure you that many children have cell phones, and we know that they're communicating with their parents, and we're grateful they are.
But are they allowed? Are cell phones allowed?
Under all circumstances, students are allowed to have cell phones with them at all times. Now, those cell phones may not be utilized sometimes during instruction, but students are allowed, my own children have, and have texted. They're in schools right here in the neighborhoods.
In addition to San Bernardino and school police, couldn't help but notice that there were sheriff officers from all over the county responding. Can you elaborate on that? Because I was at the RSCA situation, and I couldn't help but notice the cooperation that was given to San Bernardino PD along with the sheriff.
We are extremely fortunate that we have an incredible partnership with all of our surrounding allied agencies, including the Sheriff's Department, with Sheriff McMahon being here present with us today, the California Highway Patrol, as you see represented, San Bernardino City Unified School District Police Department with Chief Polino. We had a massive response to this tragic incident, as we saw on December 2nd of 2015, but it still doesn't negate the fact that tragedy has again befallen our city, and we need to now work through that and be there as much as we possibly can for all the involved parties. Two more questions, folks.
Are there any preliminary indications that the gunman may have been known to law enforcement prior to the shooting?
Like I said before, until we know for certain who he is, we won't know what his criminal history is. I would imagine any minute now we will have had an ID on him, and then we'll immediately know what that criminal history is. So we should have that information at 3:30.
Superintendent, can you speak to the parents and kids who may be a bit afraid to come back to school? Can you give them some sort of reassuring words, or what's on your mind right now?
Yeah, you know, as I mentioned, I have my own children in schools here in the district just within a stone's throw of where we're standing now. And, you know, I think I'd say the same thing to them, is this is a tragic event. It's going to take time for our heads, our hearts to heal, and our patience with each other. You know, I'm grateful that when I first came into our first meeting point, there was a meeting taking place of dozens of counselors and assistant principals. We immediately deployed them to our students with our staff to ensure that there's as much comfort as possible. So when you're going through this type of a horrible event, we need each other to walk hand in hand to heal, and we need each other to continue to press forward to not allow what is tragic to halt our lives from continuing forward.
This is going to conclude our press conference. We will be having another press conference at 3:30 this afternoon at this same location. Chief Bergwan was in Monterey attending the California Chiefs Conference at the time of this incident. He, however, is making his way back, and he will be present at that 3:30 conference. Yes?
Housekeeping item. Could we have every person spell their names, please, so we just have first and last?
Again, I am Mike Madden, M-A-D-D-E-N, PIO for the San Bernardino Police Department.
I'm Kerry Davis, C-A-R-E-Y, D-A-V-I-S, Mayor for the City of San Bernardino.
All right, you have been watching live breaking news coverage here on KMIR of a school shooting in the San Bernardino area. It's being called a tragic day. Students at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino are dealing with a violent event in one of their classrooms. We understand that two people are dead, a teacher and an acquaintance of that teacher. We don't know the relationship just yet. Apparently the shooter walked in, signed in the front office at North Park Elementary about 10:30 this morning, had a handgun hidden on him, ended up shooting that teacher in a classroom, and two children standing next to the teacher, two innocent children, were caught in that gunfire. We understand from the news conference that just concluded that those children are in critical condition right now. The other students have been evacuated from North Park Elementary. They've been taken to Cajon High School, where you can see some of the pictures coming in from all of our affiliates. Those students are being reunited with their parents this afternoon. It is going to take another 2 or 3 hours to do that while the police continue their investigation of what has turned out to be a tragedy in a classroom. a shooting inside the school at North Park Elementary School. You have just heard the latest here on KMIR. There is another news conference scheduled for 3:30. We plan to bring you that live as well. The police then promising to be able to tell us they may have an identity of the shooter and what the relationship was between the shooter and the teacher in that classroom. This was all apparently confined to one classroom inside North Park Elementary School. Again, we are going to bring you that 3:30 news conference as well. Kitty Alvarado from KMIR is there on the scene this afternoon along with our photographers. You will get her report live at 4:30 first on KMIR. Again, school shooting at San Bernardino. It happened at about 10:30 this morning. 2 dead, a possible teacher and acquaintance, and 2 children in critical condition. We will break in anytime there is new information. We will continue our live coverage here on KMIR, again at 3:30 with the latest news conference, and again live at 4:30 first on KMIR. Now back to our regular programming.